Jumbo, fellow adventurers, you need not have lows to have highs. Okay, this is a lesson about contrast. Contrast is a really big buzzword right now. My brother loves Abraham Hicks, and they talk about contrast all the time. Contrast really helps us understand what's going on in this reality of here, there, now, then, have not. There's this dichotomy. So contrast is a great teaching point. I don't listen to Abraham. Everything I've ever heard of them is amazing, but I don't ever want to sound like them. And, people are very quick to say, oh, you sound like, so-and-so and so-and-so. You're just regurgitating. So I'm not regurgitating. Contrast is the lesson today. And it stems from the recognition that in these sacred jungles of time and space, for every high, there's a low. For every black, there's a white. For every down, there's an up. For every, there's opposites everywhere. It's the dichotomy of the illusions. Yet not understanding the main teachings about contrast, people give their power away big time. So here's the deal with contrast. There's no law about contrast. It's correct to say that often we need to find out what we don't like, what we don't love, what we're not inclined towards, in order to find out what we do like, what we do love, and what our gifts are. Okay, there is the teaching point of contrast, other than pointing out the obvious that, here there's polarity to everything, a yin and a yang to everything, because we're in the illusions. But what are the illusions anyway but illusions? And too often, the eager student, if you will, draws or extrapolates from the earlier lesson in contrast about learning what you don't like to one of, hey, aren't we here to learn everything, to experience everything? No, we're not here to experience everything, not even close. And the earnest student will often think that in order to know really, really deep, profound happiness, you've got to know really profound sadness. No, that's not even remotely true. That's kooky tunes. That's crazy stuff. Contrast, if you will, and words fail when trying to name and nail down illusions. Contrast, if you will, is theoretical. It's correct to say that if there's a high, there is a corresponding low. But to get to that high, you don't have to go to that low. Why would you? If you lived in the southern hemisphere of the planet, does that mean in your next lifetime you have to live in the northern hemisphere of the planet? It's like, there's no connection whatsoever. If you were a really saintly, good soul, spending your whole life in service, do you think your next lifetime you'd have to come back as an axe murderer? Of course, I'm being facetious, but so is the notion that you have to experience all things to know what you like. You do not have to experience all things. You did not come here to experience all things. You came here with your unique leanings, your unique inclinations, your chosen characteristics. I'm going to be very creative this lifetime. Oh, I'm going to be very analytical this lifetime. I'm going to be learning lessons in patience this lifetime. You came here with this package that you custom designed to highlight and make possible certain adventures into love, into glory, into power. And sure, absolutely, when we dabble as we adventure in certain realms and we discover we don't like them, well, so much the better. We don't have to go there again. Onward. You came here to experience what you wanted to experience, to discover what lights you up, which doesn't mean you have to go through the dregs and the murk and the mire. You came here to give God that extraordinary opportunity to see through your eyes and feel through your heart. And that does not mean, never did mean, that you're supposed to be doing all things. And so the final point of this lesson, if you will, and this is so key. So often in my earlier life felt, and I see people kind of feel like, they're cruising along, everything's great, love my life. And they feel like this is like a sign or an omen that was like, all right, it can't be like that all the time. So it's like all of a sudden the floor is going to drop out beneath them. They're going to crash. They're going to burn. They're going to get resurrected. And there's this feeling that every life is supposed to be like this. Again, that's crazy, and that's not true. This is how it goes. And the more you master your challenges, the more you discover your power, the easier it gets. There's always going to be lessons. God isn't done learning. God wanted to be you and me to learn even more. There's always going to be lessons, but you're going to see them as lessons. You're going to see them as invitations for being more awesome. And you're not going to be like, oh man, I got to go back down here now. Oh, I got to go back up here now. Don't be thinking that if things are really good for a year or a decade or 30 years, that soon it's going to be your turn to bite the dust, because of contrast, baby, because we got to find out what we don't love to find out what we do love. You're off the hook. You're free. You're entitled to follow your heart and live your dreams. You're pushed on to greatness every single day. You're not here to be eating crow or eating dirt. It never did make any sense. Yes, there is such a thing as contrast, and we can play off of it and do play off of it, but you don't have to go through all of it to get to where you want to go. Happy Thursday, everybody. Happy everything forever and ever. We're everywhere always at once, in spite of the appearance of contrast. Tally ho!